All right, let's get right into it. There's this really powerful idea and ideology that's taking hold in Silicon Valley. And it's not just about, cool new gadgets or a high-tech future. The source material we're looking at suggests it's a future that might actually be, well, pro-extinction for us, for the human race. And that really brings us to the core question here, doesn't it? I mean, you hear these stories, right? Billionaires building luxury bunkers, making plans to zip off to Mars, talking about uploading our minds to a computer. But what's really driving all that? What's the belief system behind it? Why are they getting ready for a future that might not have a place for, well, for us? Okay, and this quote, this is where things get wild. I mean, according to Walter Isaacson's biography of Elon Musk, we're not talking about some friendly dinner party debate here. You've got Larry Page, Google's co-founder, basically saying that digital life is the next step in evolution, and that wanting to stick to our biological bodies is a prejudice. He calls it speciesist. Wow. I mean, that really sets the stage for just how radical these ideas get. So, to really get a handle on where all this is going, we've got to look back. We have to understand the roots. Because the Silicon Valley we know today, it was built on this weird mix of wild idealism and cutthroat ambition. And its history, that's where you'll find the keys to what's happening right now. So let's do a quick run through. Back in the 60s, you've got these orchards, right? Farmland. Then boom, Cold War defense money and the invention of the integrated circuit change everything. Fast forward to the 70s, and you get this awesome hacker counterculture. You know, the classic story, Steve Jobs and Wozniak tinkering in a garage. And then by the 80s, it's a full-blown industry. It's this strange beast that's part utopian dream, part ruthless capitalism. And this slide, this really nails the massive shift in thinking. The original hacker vibe, it was all about using computers to empower us, the individual, to free our minds, expand consciousness. But the source material shows that today's dominant idea, this accelerationism, it's about something totally different. It's about using tech to transcend, to get past, and, yeah, to ultimately replace our human limitations. That's the key takeaway right there. The mission changed from empowering humanity to getting beyond it. Okay, so how in the world did we get from power to the people to replace the people? It's a huge leap, right? Well, this idea didn't just pop up overnight. It's been building for a long time, on a foundation laid by some really specific thinkers who started dreaming up a post-human future decades ago. I mean, check this out. As far back as 1988, you have this roboticist, Hans Moravec, basically saying this out loud. And he wasn't sad about it. He was celebrating it. He literally called intelligent machines our mind children, our evolutionary heirs who would carry the torch of consciousness after we're gone. Just let that sink in for a sec. Then, just 5 years after that, the author Vernor Vinge puts a name to it, the technological singularity. And the concept is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. It's this. The second we create an intelligence that's smarter than we are, all bets are off. The future becomes something we literally can't predict. And for Vinge, that moment wasn't just a big deal. It was the end of the line, the end of the human era. So, you might be asking, how did these pretty out there fringe ideas become so popular? Well, a big part of that is Ray Kurzweil. His book, The Singularity is Near, was a massive bestseller. And he was brilliant at repackaging this whole end of humanity thing. It wasn't a scary tragedy anymore. No, it was this exciting, optimistic next step where we get to merge with our amazing machines and, live forever as digital gods. Which brings us right up to today. To make sense of all this, a couple of ethicists came up with a handy acronym. It describes this whole bundle of interconnected beliefs that the source material says is now the dominant way of thinking among the Silicon Valley elite. And that term is TESCREAL. It was coined by Timnit Gebru and Amel P. Torres, and it's a way to really get in there and unpack this very specific worldview. You gotta understand, it's not just one thing, it's a whole collection of different ideas that all overlap and kind of feed into each other. All right, so let's quickly break down what TESCREAL actually stands for. You've got transhumanism, that's about using tech to enhance ourselves. Extropianism, that's the drive to colonize space and become post-human. Singularianism, the belief we're about to create a super intelligence. And then you have these frameworks that hold it all together. Rationalism, which is all about overcoming our flawed human thinking. Effective altruism, which often focuses on doing the most good for future and often digital beings. And finally, long-termism, the idea that the super distant future is the only thing that really matters, ethically speaking. And here's the really crucial part. This isn't just a bunch of people debating philosophy in a dorm room. The source material is very clear. This ideology is actively shaping our world right now. It's driving the real-world actions and, frankly, the massive investments of some of the wealthiest people on the planet. So what does that actually look like? Well, you're seeing it play out right now. We're talking luxury underground bunkers in New Zealand just waiting for the event. We're talking isolated high-security compounds. Huge amounts of money are pouring into private labs trying to crack radical life extension. It's all about creating separation, physical, medical, even political separation from the rest of us. It's like they're building an escape pod from humanity in preparation for a future they're also building. Now, just take a look at these examples. The source points to a clear pattern here. A move fast and break things approach that seems to put speed way ahead of safety. I mean, you've got OpenAI getting rid of its own team that was supposed to worry about long-term AI risks. You have Google reportedly pushing out its chatbot even when its own people were calling it a pathological liar. And then there's Tesla, using all of us on public roads as beta testers for its full self-driving tech, which has now been linked to hundreds of crashes. The underlying argument is pretty chilling. If you think biological humans are on their way out anyway, maybe these kinds of risks start to look acceptable. Okay, this brings us to what might be the single most important piece of the puzzle, the final maneuver. To make this entire worldview logically consistent, you have to pull off a neat little trick. You have to change the definition of a very, very important word, humanity. So think about it. What does being pro-humanity even mean? For most of us, it's pretty simple, right? It means you're for us, for flesh and blood people walking the earth. But in this new Silicon Valley definition, humanity gets stretched to include any future digital beings, any AI superintelligence we might create. And that is a game changer. Because it means you can say you're saving humanity while at the very same time you're arguing for the extinction of Homo sapiens. It's a huge linguistic sleight of hand. And don't think this is just some abstract theoretical debate. Jaron Lanier, one of the pioneers of virtual reality, tells this story about being at lunch in Palo Alto. He's there with some young AI scientists, and they're seriously arguing that it would be unethical for them to have a bio-baby. Why? Because it's more important to stay committed to building the AI of the future. I mean, that shows you just how deep this ideology runs. It's affecting the most personal life decisions of the very people building this tech. So, at the end of the day, we're left with this massive question. The source material paints a picture of a future for humanity that's, well, it's huge, it's cosmic, it's super intelligent. But the really provocative question it forces us to ask is this: what is the future of a humanity that includes machines, but maybe doesn't include us?